What's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about a couple of stocks that people have been asking me to cover here. We're going to talk about some recent news from both of them, and also we're going to look at the chart. They are vastly different looking at the chart. And the stocks I'm going to cover today are AQST, or Aquestive Therapeutics, and also Bngo, or Bionano Genomics. And like I said, these two have vastly different charts, and I'm going to talk about what I'm looking for in each of them. So let's get started on this video. If you guys like these, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, helps me out a lot. And let's get started. Let's look at Bngo first. And we have some news that actually dropped today for Bionano. Bionano announces their first commercial release of the Stratus system for high throughput optical genome mapping, or OGM. And they completed the early access program for the Stratus system, and now they're making it available for a full commercial release. And compared to their Sapphire, the Stratus offers a 4x increase in raw data generation compared, and can process up to 12 single access chips. And we now have 10 users across Canada, US, Europe, and Saudi Arabia adopting a total of 11 Stratus systems on this early access program. And here's the locations. We have medical centers and hospitals in Vancouver, Ontario, US, Saudi Arabia, UK. We have the Radboud University Medical Center, and there's actually an associate professor that talks about Bionano's product in a second here. But we also have something interesting here. Additional sites that Bionano is not able to name publicly include a US-based high-volume centralized reference laboratory, and a US-based leading academic medical center specializing in cancer treatment. But this Radboud University professor says that the data quality for Stratus matches the high standards of the established Sapphire system, and the newly achieved throughput is amazing. Stratus is the next evolution of OGM, with significantly and impressively improved throughput. And their smart design also allows higher flexibility and faster processing per sample when compared to the Sapphire. And he says, I'm convinced Stratus will enable more innovative clinical research applications, particularly medium to high throughput analysis, and may even have the potential to enable diagnostic applications in the future. At Radboud University Medical Center, we are excited to stay on the forefront of OGM use for home oncology as well as rare disease discoveries. And the CEO of Bionano said that we launched an early access program for our Stratus system in 2023 to great enthusiasm, with orders exceeding our initial offering of 10 systems, many with new OGM adopters. We are excited to see these early access sites partner with us as we extend Stratus adoption across the world. Now, while that all sounds great and Bionano has a lot of potential there, they still have a lot to prove. They still have to get into profitability, and it's likely going to be a long road. One positive here is they're expecting their first 10 million revenue quarter, but earnings isn't until early March, so we're going to have to wait and see if they can actually break that 10 million finally. From a chart perspective, Bngo is very ugly. It's finding resistance on its 50 EMA, and it's just been in a harsh downtrend. We're dealing with record high interest rates. Everyone's avoiding small caps like this, unprofitable small caps that have to either reverse split, which Bngo has done a while ago, and or pull out debt at a high interest rate. So there's a reason Wall Street has been avoiding these. There's a reason a lot of these small caps have been just continuing in downtrends. But things soon will change when the Fed pivots and we start seeing those rate cuts. That helps companies like Bngo that have to acquire debt. Now, if you wanted to play this on a very short swing, and if you think this is the bottom here, you could set a stop loss in the low dollar area, $1.10, $1.15, and try to ride it into a break of the 50 EMA. But what I like to see here for Bngo is a break over the 50 EMA and an attempt of the 100 EMA, and get to where we can see these flip for the first time since 2022. I still have my extremely small position. It's also extremely small because of how much this has dropped, but I haven't really been buying here. I'm waiting for a confirmation. I'm waiting for a better looking chart. I'm also waiting to get closer to those Fed rate cuts. And honestly, I'm still waiting to see this company improve. I want to see that revenue continue to grow. I want to see those expenses tighten. Otherwise, we're going to continue looking at dilution, continue looking at the possibility of reverse splits. From a chart perspective, this looks pretty ugly, but I do think Bionano has a lot of potential, but it won't be an easy road to success. That's why these risky small caps, you put a little bit of them in your portfolio, you don't go all in, and you need to know that not all of these will work out. That's why you don't go all in small caps. You choose a few you like, you add a little to them, you set them and forget them, add slowly over time. But you need to know that not 100% of these small caps are going to make it. That said, I do like Bngo. I still have my position, and I'm looking to add on a more bullish chart. But one thing I wanted to mention here is we've had sideways action for roughly 4 months now. Some would argue this could be an accumulation phase. What I'd want to see is a break over our previous short-term high right around the 2s and start setting higher lows and higher highs, breaking out of EMAs. Right now I'm simply watching it here, but this really could be an accumulation phase. And when looking back, throughout the last couple of years, we haven't seen a time like this where Bngo has just been going so sideways. Possibly the big boys are accumulating. Right here we saw a glimpse of some sideways action, and then we went to rally. However, it was all taken back and then some. But I do think BNGO will see its day again. I do think we'll see some hype in this one. And who knows, this may in fact be an accumulation phase, but there's always the possibility that this breaks its lows and continues even lower, gets back under $1 again. Now, I also want to talk about Aqst or AQST. I haven't talked about this one in a long time. For me, this was a swing trade back in 2021, maybe 2022. But we have some news here from December that AQST doses their first patient in their phase 3 pivotal clinical study evaluating pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics of Anafilm, which is an epinephrine sublingual film. And as said by AQST's CEO, Daniel Barber, with the dosing of our first patient, we're officially one step closer to reaching our goal of filing our Anafilm new drug application, or NDA, with the FDA in 2024. Anafilm continues to be the first and only non-invasive orally delivered epinephrine product candidate to demonstrate clinical results comparable to auto-injectors, such as the EpiPen. And he goes on to say, we remain excited to address the significant unmet need for an orally delivered, convenient, and effective product candidate. And honestly, I'm excited for this product. My daughter has severe allergies, and I think this would actually come in very handy. Instead of carrying an EpiPen, you keep this film around. And I think little kids, anybody, would much rather take this film than have to deal with a shot. But this is another upcoming catalyst for AQST. If the FDA does approve this, we're going to see a huge rally. It's one of those polarized catalysts. Either they're going to get approved and they're going to rally, or they're going to get denied and we're going to see a huge drop. But AQST is looking pretty good on the chart. We've been in an uptrend. We saw our golden cross back in May of 2023. We've been continuing higher and higher slowly over time here. After its run up, it's cooling down a little bit here. This could be a great point for an entry. If you're playing this on a short-term trade, you could definitely set a stop loss, or better yet, I'd say wait for a little bit more of a pullback, wait for a retracement more towards those MAs. But the chart's looking good, and despite maybe seeing a little consolidation here first before our next run, I do think this can keep seeing some positive price action. We do have resistance right around 280. That could be a great breakout trade towards $3. But I do think $3 and 280 are going to be the next levels of resistance. Once we can break that, I do think AQST can go on a pretty big move. Now, they also have earnings coming up in March, same as BNGO. They're expecting a roughly $11.5 million quarter, which isn't a record quarter. So whereas BNGO is expecting a record quarter, AQST is not. And this stock really relies on these FDA approvals. That's the nature of these bio stocks. We're dealing with very polarizing catalysts, you know, where either we're going to get approved and this is going to go on an epic run, or it's not going to get approved. They're going to have to wait until next time potentially. And we're going to see, you know, some profit taking, some pulling back. But I do think both of these stocks are still worth watching. I really like AQST's idea of a sublingual film instead of having to use an EpiPen. That could definitely come in handy in my household. And as for BNGO, you know, they have a lot of positive things going on in the background. Huge medical centers actually trying out their products and speaking highly of them. And they are expecting a record quarter here in the coming earnings, but they do still have a lot to prove. And from a chart perspective, BNGO definitely looks quite ugly. But you'd be surprised how quickly things can change, how quickly these stocks can get back above their moving averages, how quickly you can start seeing these golden crosses again. So keep an eye on BNGO for a more bullish chart. Keep an eye on AQST to continue to consolidate a little bit. God, that was a tongue twister. And get ready for the next breakout of 280. But let me know what you think about BNGO and AQST. Are these stocks that you own? And maybe if I find the time later, I'll try to cover the Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin is actually falling while some Bitcoin miners are recovering, which is nice to see. But thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.